do you ever just had a thought or an idea come up out of nowhere, right? Like you're completing something and then you just get kind of taken away, right, by that moment. And the things that you didn't do in those particular moments. And the reason I bring this up is because I myself am writing a book on letters that I wish I would have written my father, but more to the fact that I would want him to know what I was thinking. Now, my father was never really the kind of person that would, talk to you about emotions. He was not the kind of person that really showed emotion, right? He just liked talking and enjoying being around you, asking about how things were going. But when it came to anything sad or anything emotion-wise, he wouldn't want to talk about it. And so I've essentially been writing this book, right, about the letters that I would have written to him during his battle with ALS. And it really got me thinking about something. It really got me thinking about, life lesson, right? And the biggest life lesson, when going through these different thoughts and ideas, writing this book, is just that, life is not really guaranteed, right? Like, there are many things I wish I would have done with my father, and I had the chance to do it. And I think we all kind of get in that idea, right, that you have the chance, and you think because you have the chance now that you'll have the chance again later. But we forget that we don't always have this abundance of time, that the future really doesn't exist, right? All we have is this moment, and we fail to see that, right? And we get so caught up in what's going on, right? That really doesn't matter at the end of the day. What really matters is the fact that we are, sharing experiences with the ones that we love. And, this really eluded me for a long time, and I always thought, well, I'll be fine. And then when my father got sick, like, I for whatever reason, I didn't do more, right, or try to express emotion. I know there were times I tried to, but my father again didn't want to talk about it. And so that's just one thing that I've noticed when I've been writing this book, is to really understand, right, that even though someone may not really want to hear what you're saying, but I think it's good to let them know, right, to let them know your thoughts, to let them know what you're doing, to actually go out and do those things, right? Like, there are things my father wanted to do, right? And I had so much else going on that I allowed those other things to interrupt what was really important, right? And to really, provide my father with experiences that he wanted. And I felt like I kind of took that away from him by not doing that, because I was so caught up in everything else that was happening. And a lot of times we allow ourselves to get caught up in what we're doing, right? And again, forget what else is going on in life. And, just letting him know more so how I was feeling, and try to get him to talk more, right? Like, I tried that and it didn't work, but I think a lot of times what you should try to do is still let them know, right? If they don't want to listen, write them a letter, right? And that's essentially what my book is about, just a letter about my thoughts, ideas, my emotions going through all this whole time, and specific times in this process, and knowing that, hey, that I do care about you, I do love you, and all your thoughts and ideas, they mean a lot to me, and I want to execute on them. And really, I'm sorry I didn't execute on a lot of them, but it's just, I had the time, right? Like, I kind of knew of the fact that my father was going to eventually pass at some point, but some of us don't have that, right? Some of us don't have that opportunity to know that. my father still couldn't move. My father became immobile. So a lot of the things that he wanted to do, we couldn't do. And when we had the time, right, when we had the time and the resources to do those things, we never did, because we, again, forget that we think we have all this time, when in fact we don't. And it's important, through good times or bad times, that you touch base, right? And you spend quality time with these people as much as possible, right? I know under certain circumstances, like my father wasn't close, right? He lived far away. He lived a couple states over, so it wasn't as easy to get to him. But I mean, none of this stuff really makes a difference, right? Like, you should still block out your time and spend time with those people that you love. And I wish I would have done more of that before, my father got diagnosed. I had plenty of opportunity. I was more worried about other things, and I think that can be detrimental, right? You don't want to regret anything, and if you do these things, you may not regret it now. You'll be like, oh, we have plenty of time. I think we just get caught up when we really don't think about the moment and about those relationships until those relationships are gone, right? In the sense that, like my father passed away. Like, there's some things I wish I could have done. I don't want to sit and dwell in the past, but there's just those things, that you wish you would have done better at. And looking back, when you always reflect on stuff, it's easier to reflect than actually do it in the moment. But when you go through something like that, when you go through a change where you lose a loved one or whatever the circumstances are, the thing is it really puts a lot of light on the simple things, right? The basic things that you need to concentrate on life, right? Because we get so caught up with or preoccupied with what's going on in life that we forget those little things. We forget about the ones that matter. We forget about, that life is all about, understanding those relationships and experiencing different things with those relationships with different people, and just making memories, right? Because that's ultimately what it's about. Because a lot of times, we entertain ourselves with those memories, right? Those memories are always there. When those people pass, those are what we have to hold on to remember those people. And it's just one of the things, I wish I would have done more. And again, writing this book, I'm seeing that, like, man, there was a lot of different things, and there was a lot of different opportunities that I missed. And I think that's the biggest message I'm trying to, relay to you guys, is that do more with the ones you loved, right? Do the experiences. Don't allow others, right? Don't allow others to influence that time with those other relationships, right? It's important to have time with every important relationship in your life and dedicate time, right? It doesn't mean that, you can't spend some time. You don't have to spend every waking moment with that person, but you should dedicate time, right? You should spend, every couple months go and do something with that person, as opposed to, just shoot them a message, right? Now, it's good to check up on people. Yes, I believe you should be doing that, calling or writing a letter or whatever it is. But, I think going out with that person and being around that person is something that's truly important, because you remember the images, you remember what you were doing, how it felt during that time, and that experience with that person. And those things you can't get, with an email or a letter or whatever the case is. You only get those things when you're actually with that person. Even though my dad wasn't a very emotional person, he was about being like that, right? He was about being there with you, and you just felt like you were loved, right? You felt like everything was good, right? And you were just enjoying the experience. Like, you didn't need a lot of words, but it was just good. It was a good feeling. And so that's just the biggest thing I've really been noticing when writing this book, is to do that, is to cherish relationships, cherish the experiences with those relationships, and then know that that's ultimately what matters. In the end, that's ultimately what matters. So if you guys, enjoyed this video and know someone who could get something out of this video, please share it with them. And until next time, I will see you guys later.